is how they keep us apart. Through all the years we fought and fought, the little changes we have brought, we're still behind, way behind the time. Artists of other lands live in fortune and fame, for Calypsonian and Panman only don't share. And yet still we keep on jamming, every year we come out playing. Calypsonian and the Panman, east, west, north and south, from every part of this island, we make our contribution, don't leave us out. Remember we are the ones who make the jump, who make you jump up and prance. We're in the middle of the carnival. We are the ones keep up the bacchanal. We are the ones who make the jump, who make you jump up and prance. Working to make this fun and spring. Greatest summer festivity, and yet we treating Calypsonians and Panmen like dirt. All you
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition of We Are the Ones. Let me apologize for the late start. It is entirely beyond our control. We are experiencing some technical difficulties, and for those of you who may be wishing to tune in via the our usual Facebook page, we are not available at the moment. That is being worked. We are? So where are we not available? We're available everywhere? Okay, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. You see, I tell you, the technical difficulties are in my brain. Yes, so we are experiencing some difficulties. Notwithstanding that, we intend to go through our program this afternoon. As you know, of course, there are a number of things ongoing in Antigua and Barbuda and internationally. This week, today is World Diabetes Day. Yes, for those of you who are... So those of you who have diabetes, you're already familiar with the things that you need to do. And for those of us who know we need to do our annual checkups to ensure that we are not, afflicted by that situation. I was trying to get some information from Medical Benefits today. I will be sharing that next week in regards to how many persons they treat or get medication for diabetes, just as we did the other day when we had our cancer discussion. What we're discovering is that a lot of persons in Antigua are getting impacted by these diseases, which, let's put cancer aside, the diabetes, the hypertension, and so on, are in fact preventable if we mostly, because there's some of us who by nature are just, that's the way it is, but many of us can position ourselves to prevent the occurrence or reduce the incidence of these kinds of diseases, and we have not been doing a very good job. In fact, we are impacted by many things, and it is a challenge for us, and I think we need to do a better job of terms of our health. Thank you very much. Let there be light. Yes. Yes, and so I'm just appealing to us, that we can do better. This month, we're also celebrating neonatal, early pregnancies and so on. And what is it again?
Premature.
Thank you. That is it. Premature Awareness Week. Month actually. And I'm familiar with that because right down to Kiwanis International, I'm a Kiwanian. I have to put in the plug for that. We're also commemorating the same. And one of my sister clubs, the Kiwanis Club of Young Professionals and the Circle K, will be doing some work with Mount St. John as it relates to that. I know that the hospital is on a drive to ensure that babies that come through that way are given as equal care, if not better, than what the normal ones get. And so again, we should show our appreciation. I think generally we need to just acknowledge that our health services team have been doing very, very commendable work in terms of ensuring they look after the health of the nation. And so I think I want to take this opportunity as well to commend all the healthcare workers across the length and breadth of Antigua and Barbuda. Having said that, though, today we are here and we're looking at another important occasion for this month, which is Arbor Month. And there are a number of activities that will be ongoing for the month, and during the course of this discussion we will share a few of those with you. But today in studio with me I have, I won't call them two long lost friends. Lady and gentlemen, bring the mic closer to you because our Facebook friends who are already saying hello, hi Monique, will tell us that they can't hear us. Okay,
hi, Monique.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just before we go into our discussion in full on We're the Ones, and welcome to We're the Ones. We're the Ones is a program I did not explain to my guests. I'm sorry, I was so concerned about we were late. We're the Ones is a program that we look at issues of a varying nature. We are, as the topic says, we are the ones. So we're the ones in Antigua and Barbuda that make things happen. Many times we don't even think that we are the ones that let it happen or are responsible for making the change. So on this program, We're the Ones, we discuss issues that are sometimes out of the norm. People would not necessarily think of them, but we try and take topics that will tie into things that are happening in Antigua and Barbuda, that will awaken the consciousness of our citizens, stimulate dialogue. Let me tell you about stimulating dialogue. Try come with me on a Saturday where I go on Lime and hear the We're the Ones topic being rehashed. Good afternoon, Nicole. How are you? That was not in any way saying that you and I rehashed those topics, but I'm just saying. And so today we'll be talking about drought and adaptation. And this topic was deemed critical and important by the National Arbor Month team, who are in charge of all of the activities for this month. I know for sure, I think it's tomorrow, they'll be having that exercise where you bring 5 bags and you, it's not tomorrow? When is, okay, you'll tell me about that. All right. So with me in studios today, I have an old colleague. He's an old colleague. Yeah, old colleague and a young colleague. So we'll go with the old colleague first. Joan, darling, how are you? No, yeah, you definitely need to pull the mic down a little closer to you.
Sorry. I'm really happy to be here with you.
Jupiter, help her out with the mic there for me now, please. 1 second, yes. So we're having Joan with us, and sort him out as well one time before I hear that I can't hear. Okay, good. And Joan and I, I'm going to say this, go way, way back to State College days. And I'm not going to tell you how old she is. What I will say, because I'm going to say this, is that my class of 1998 from Princess Margaret School is celebrating 30 years in a few weeks that we left secondary school. And Joan was at State College before me. I will say nothing else. Leave it there.
See you too.
Joan, tell us a bit about yourself outside of why you're here with us today.
Oh, well, I work with the Department of Environment, of course.
Yes.
My training is in physical planning and environmental resource development.
Jamaica,
Jamaica, definitely. And back home to give of my highest and my best. And I'm here to share with you today. So that's me in a nutshell.
What do you do at the Department of
I'm
Environment?
project coordinator.
Okay, project coordinator.
Yes.
And my new colleague, please introduce yourself and share with the audience.
Good afternoon, all. I'm Tesfa Francis, Mechanical and Projects Engineer at the APWA Water Business Unit. And we have studied close, as in close proximity in terms of islands. I did my studies in Cuba, however.
Yeah, I visited Cuba. Cuba's nice too.
Yeah, Cuba is nice. Cuba is very nice. And yeah, my major task, or my main task at APWA handles the operation and maintenance of all of the facilities, whether it is surface water, groundwater, or reverse osmosis plants.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's the introduction of my guests, and we will be talking, as I said earlier, drought and adaptation. I just have a question for Tesfa before we go into the drought and adaptation, because I shared some information with my colleagues when I was planning to come down here. I'm throwing them off script early. And they kept saying to me, so when I go clean out Potworks Dam. See, I tell you, starting it hard. Oh, you don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we can speak of it.
I just want a little snippet. A little snippet. Tell us about that place, that dam.
Okay. A lot of persons would have asked us that when the reservoir, the catchment area was dry. A few years ago, we did attempt, did make some effort in cleaning the catchment pool. That's where the area we do the extraction. A lot of persons need to realize that Potworks Reservoir is over 500 acres of land. Right? In terms of cleaning all of that and maintaining all of that is a very large task. Right? So some work was definitely done. The challenge with Potworks is that we cannot just go and dig or deepen Potworks haphazardly or anyway. So what we have done, presently on island, we have a team of Cubans. They arrived on Sunday. We're trying to get them in a bit earlier. And they will be tasked with that whole idea of improving water storage in Antigua. So we're saying about surface water.
So not necessarily Potworks
So not
Dam.
only Potworks Dam,
Okay.
because we have a lot of other areas of interest, especially on the southern side, the Christian Valleys, the Orange Valleys, coming down to the Bendels Valley, where additional catchment facilities can be constructed. Right? They would also be looking at the groundwater, monitoring the groundwater extraction process also. So that's it basically in a nutshell of how
So now that the rain is coming and the Cubans are here, they will still be able to do something about that particular area?
Of course.
Okay.
And based on information that we have, based on our prior initiatives, we would then pass on that information to the team. The previous team was here and saw it when it was actually dry without any water. So some preliminary work was done. Okay.
Okay.
And okay.
All right, so now we can go back to, so ladies and gentlemen who are Facebook messaging me, because I can see them. Yes, I took Potworks Dam out of the way early, so now we can go and start our topic thoroughly. And I think I just want to get an overview. When we raise the issue of drought, because the minute there's no rain, everybody says Antiguan drought. But is there a specific terminology or definition as to when we say drought?
Okay, let me first start if I may.
Yeah, please do.
They have different types of drought. The three main
Types?
Yes, what we basically
Drought have
we-
types?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have the meteorological drought, we have a hydrological drought, and the agricultural drought. These are among others, right? I didn't bring all of the full definitions.
The
today.
meteorological drought.
Yes.
That's when
Hydro- Mhm.
the hydro,
hydrological drought
and
the agricultural drought. Those are the three main ones I would wish to highlight at this point.
okay.
And in terms of a definition, definition that we would use is a drought is a prolonged period of abnormally low rainfall leading to a shortage of water, such that storage levels cannot sustain the demands of the state. So that's the definition we use in our drought management plan that we have at
Okay.
APW.
Okay.
And that's our definition. The climatologists and other persons may have definitions that vary slightly, but all capturing that main message.
So then, just I know where you sit at this, but I'm curious. So when you hear about the agricultural drought,
Okay, so that's when you can see the evidence, when it's evident in the agricultural industry. Okay, so when
you see everything start to drop dead,
and dry up, basically.
did that come across harsh?
Yeah. No, that's fine, but that is real. And I think what is important to be said is that drought persists after the precipitation would have returned. And that's very significant to understand. Rain's falling, rain's falling, we're not in a drought, but it does persist beyond that. And we have to understand that context.
So the way how you say that drought persists after the precipitation, like all this lovely precipitation we've been having. So when this is done, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
So
I mean,
Climate-
okay, so all this rain that we're having now, for example, most people would see, going back there again, Potworks Dam has water.
yes,
And all the various ponds and so on have water.
correct.
So what does that mean? Is it that we are temporarily out of drought? Is it that we are... What does that mean?
Okay, so this rain brings relief.
Relief.
Obviously, with the catchment areas, the catchment pools filled, definite relief will be brought about. With Potworks Dam has in some water. I think the last estimate we got was just about 11 feet in Potworks Dam, that's in the catchment area.
That's a
We
good
have-
thing.
That's a good thing, definitely. We wish
Okay.
it overflows. That we would have water.
How many more days rain we need for that?
See, not days of rain, but at least some inches of
Inches of
rainfall,
rain.
and hopefully the rain falls
In the right place.
right, within
Yes,
that,
yes.
that catchment area
Okay.
or that watershed. right? So definite relief, and that's the main question I've been facing on the streets. Okay, now that Potworks Dam is full, that means we're gonna get right back, we get a 24/7 supply, and we are aiming for that. Definitely aiming for that. What we have to also keep in mind is that other factors can affect the distribution of water, right? So we always try to keep that in mind. It could be mechanical failure, or it could be a failure of the pipelines, the transmission mains, distribution mains. So we need to keep that in our minds.
And can I say, Petra, that
Sure.
we're talking about affect the drought, and that the rain comes back, but we also have to understand that although it is a natural phenomenon, our activities can make it worse. The deforestation, soil degradation, and water mismanagement. So you have all of this rain, and depends on how our climate was, the resilience of our climate, and how we had managed our forest product, and whether or not our soil was degraded. And if we continue to misuse water, it really comes back to not, if Tessa can validate that for me. So we have to understand that connectivity between rainfall activity and our use and misuse of our water resources and our land.
So you're saying to me that notwithstanding that we've had all of this rain, and notwithstanding that the dams as we know them may be filled
For now.
for now, that there are other issues outside of this, because Tesla looked at the ones that would affect the water distribution. Right. And you're saying that in addition to that, there may be other environmental, want of a better word, factors.
And anthropogenic, our activities and how we use the land or misuse it, that impacts. And our duration or cause of the drought situation that we're in or remain in. So we're glad for the relief, and let's see what happens.
Bear with me for a minute there. I have been. There are some areas in Antigua outside of Potworks Dam that are water catchments.
Right.
Are most of them? I'll give you an example. Wallins Dam. I know that huge water catchment out John Hughes side.
Yeah.
Is that an area that is connected to our water supply?
Okay, not presently. That particular facility was decommissioned sometime in the past. I don't have the exact.
Okay. Over 10 years? Over 15 years?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was probably in maybe secondary school coming up.
Are there plans to reconnect it? Or is it that, do we need it?
It's something that we can look at, because at this point, surface water, when I say surface water, that's the water in the reservoirs and streamways that we would use. Yeah, these are definitely very important, and any water coming towards or that we can put into distribution system is definitely a plus, right? So I was saying at this present time we don't have immediate plans of putting that particular station back into operation, but it's something that we can look at. Food for thought.
Do we need all of the surface water, or are we able to survive without the surface water?
No, well, without the surface water, it's very challenging.
Okay.
From my perspective, in terms of producing potable water to the people of Antigua and Barbuda, that means we're relying completely or only on the reverse osmosis plants.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And to put it in to have you understand it, historically we would have created a distribution system, created the water producing system in a way that we have 60% reverse osmosis, 30% surface water, and the 10% comes from the groundwater. And if you immediately remove that 30%, that means you have to.
We have problems.
In problems.
We have problems.
But can I
Right.
say, if I can pick up for the farmers, that we really do need the surface water, because some of it is irrigation water.
Correct.
And I will use that to plug in
Right.
our Drought Talk seminar,
Right.
which we will be having on November 26th. It's open to the public. And we are not the professionals here solely, so we will be hearing from Met Office, the science behind the drought, APU again, and farmers and how drought has affected them. So really good questions. we can only give you the surface response.
Right.
But this seminar,
Give me the
talk,
date.
November 26th, Department of Environment, open to the public, where you can really get detailed scientific information, and we really delve into the issues of drought and how it affects various sectors, but we're looking primarily now at the farmers and how they have dealt with it. And this is very critical in what we were talking about, the surface water and poor management of our ponds and drainage systems. You have water today and the farmers suffer tomorrow because we're not maintaining canals and irrigation systems, and we really need to have strong irrigation system to support our farmers.
Okay.
As while we work with them with improved technology to improve yield and to use the limited resource efficiently.
So while everyone is invited, this is targeting the farmers to get them to do better water management, or
it's really just picking out a sector and just talking to the farmers and finding out from them how drought has affected them. We couldn't do everything, so we decided to focus on the farmers, which are the persons that have really been impacted by it.
now we've been saying drought, but this situation in Antigua, drought clearly is not new. How is this? What can anyone recall when we had our worst drought, or how often we have droughts? Have we ever come out of the drought? To my mind, I don't think we've ever come out of drought, but I could be wrong.
So we at APA, sorry to answer from my point here. I was saying, so based on our definition, as soon as we're not in a position, or as soon as we notice that our surface water or groundwater supply is being used and not being replenished as fast as it's being used, we would have already know that we're in a situation where, yes, we now need to start planning, right? So we have a drought management plan that basically tells us that we developed, and it has different levels. So, okay, yes, the first level, the rainfall is not coming as how you're seeing it, but you still have water. What do we do then? Second level is starting to get a bit more serious now. Still no rainfall, dams starting to go down, and then we have an emergency level, which is the level 3, which that is, boy, we're getting low. We're getting extremely low. And let's set the plans what we do. And that's when we start to do the conservation of the water going to the distribution system, better known as the rationing, But that's in the event that we do not have enough water to supply on a 24-hour basis.
Okay, that is the APUA perspective. Ms. Sampson?
No, well, basically my perspective is going to be from NOB's, National Office of Disaster Services webpage.
Right.
They will be at the seminar also, because they would have given us our historical data in terms of periods of drought, and we saw that in 1863 to 1865.
18?
80, yeah.
They have data that far back?
Apparently.
Impressive.
And it even spoke to the impact on mortality. And then we had our worst drought situation in 93 to 83 to 85, which really impacted the farmers. That is when we had to import water from Dominica, and I think that was one of the push for us to get the crabs plant, if I'm not mistaken, in 1987. And that pushed us to having to do desalination plant because we had to import water.
Right. I remember that was in the 80s, right?
That was in the 80s.
I shouldn't say this, but 80s. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the 90s, where we also experienced severe drought. It was not as harsh, but of course the farmers were always the hardest hit. Livestock farmers and small farmers. And I'm sure if you go now on the website, we would see additional statistics of drought situation and the impact on the economy of Antigua and Barbuda. You will hear more about that on the 26th.
Okay.
26th, because I want everybody to come out. So yes, drought has impacted us significantly, and we really do need to pay attention to our environment, but we have an individual responsibility also. So it's our environment, my responsibility. Free we talk?
We're gonna get to the individual rule. I wanna because I think that is critical to pull out. But I'm going back to ask Tess for a question, because Tess listed 3 levels for APUA. We're not always in level 3?
In recent times.
I'm trying to figure out.
The last few years passing potworks and other reservoirs, you will realize that they were basically, if not empty, just enough that we would leave. They were below our extraction levels, So we would leave water, for example, for livestock and for other agricultural uses.
I note that, of course, Potworks is fed not only by the rain that falls over it, I assume, but there are other feeder areas coming into Potworks. I don't know if I'm wrong.
Okay, so that's the watershed. So you're speaking
Right,
of
the watershed.
correct.
That's the correct terminology.
Correct,
Thank you
correct,
very
correct.
much.
So
Right. How has the changing in our population, maybe the residential communities and advancement in like, for example, motor vehicle usage, where we have more waste and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
has those things impacted on our watershed?
Okay,
know.
definitely yes. Even with the building of homes, we would have been proposing a land use policy, and that also handles
Slow down,
such
slow down.
issues.
Excuse me, slow down.
Mm.
You have been proposing a land use policy.
Well,
we don't
we
don't
a
have
land resource management zoning plan.
that is in force
In
or in proposal.
it's in force, and it is supposed to be monitored, implemented by the Development Control Authority.
Oh,
because
and
it
you must
speaks to
you preempt my
setback
sheet, a
from
role
your
of DCA.
waterways, it tell about land use zoning. how to
So isn't
plan.
that part of our adaptation plan?
It is no, but it is part one of our national development plan. This is what it is.
Okay.
We are working on our NAPS, the National Adaptation Plan, as we speak, and we have different programs that we're also working on that addresses adaptation to climate change and also addresses the issue of droughts.
Forgive me for looking puzzled. I know you guys and yes, my audience by radio, I am looking very puzzled because if we contribute to the challenges that our watershed face, and we know how important it is to collect the precious little drops that comes because
Collect
we
and
don't
use.
get well, first we have to collect before we use, no? So I'm thinking, if we know it's so important to collect these drops and so on, how is it that we haven't been able, through agencies like, I'll get myself in trouble, like APUA and Environment Department and DCA, to be more rigid in terms of enforcement? So, for example, Tesfa mentioned about households, right, Tesfa?
Okay.
Households that probably build in the path of the natural
Streamways,
streams,
correct.
and the setbacks and so on. What are some of the challenges we face from a policy implementation side to get these things enforced? Curious.
Can I first say that we always talk about governance, yeah?
Mhm.
And it's going to take a multi-sectoral approach. We use those words, integrated approach, to deal with this issue. Each agency can do as much as they can within the ambits of their law, what they're required to do. So the Department of Environment, as an example, we are now protecting our waterways, through protection orders, etc. And through that process, we look at our land use categories.
Mm-hmm.
We set our land use by which DCA can now use to approve plans.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the process of working with the Development Control Authority
Mm-hmm.
to the local area plans that also speak to some policy positions of land use, how we use and maximize the use of our land, setbacks from waterways, how we build, and coming out of that, you will have your standards that DCA can use that as a guide for development.
Okay.
I'm sure that the APO also has its policies in place, and we still have the need to do more policies. I know we have water harvesting, etc., in our store, but it takes a multi-agency approach to ensure that these policies work. So if the entity that is supposed to do the enforcement does not do it, then what happens? If the citizens who sit there and know that if this person builds in the waterway in my community, I'm going to be affected by it, sit and says nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that totally, because we've had a lot of persons who will complain. They will call, what can you do? Can you please come and investigate? And when we get those queries and concern, we do go investigate and ask the relevant authority to deal with the matter. But it's short of staff, not being able to monitor the entire island. We're reaching out to citizens to say we are watchdogs of our environment and watchdogs of our community. We will call in and report. Don't be naysayers to say, but nothing now gonna happen if you call in. Call in anyway. Make the reports. Let us log it. Let us speak to the agency and force them to have to do what is required. Because if we don't document it, how can we speak to it? So it's going to take different sectors, agencies, and individual responsibility to ensure that we protect our waterways, ensure that we do what is required for aquifers to be recharged, etc.
So, okay, yeah, that's a mouthful. Forgive me for pausing. So, based on what you're saying then, and you mentioned earlier about the impact on the farmers, and we know the impact because once there's drought, APA goes into their rationing system. But are there other effects of drought on us as a community that we need to be concerned about? Mm-hmm. Or those would be the main ones in terms of...
You have all kind of effect of drought, and those are the main ones you have. You don't have water, but you can also have a situation you start to have social impacts of not having water. Your ecosystems, and we talk about ecosystem services a lot, but our ecosystems suffer in drought conditions. And a lot of the projects that we are doing, such as the Adaptation Fund project, the Sustainable Climate Change project, the IWECA project that we now have at the Department of Environment, speak to how we can improve our ecosystem health, because that is one of the requirements. So it impacts us as individuals, but it impacts the environment and ecosystem when we have drought. And you have to understand how that works. One system, so once one part of it is affected, it affects everything. It affects livelihood, food production, food security, and it's a triple effect. So we have to pay critical attention. I think one study says that drought is one of the most impactful event that you can have. It impacts so many things. And it's ranked as number one in terms of impact. You would not even think that. You would think perhaps maybe a hurricane or earthquake, but it's very impactful. So it's not something where you react to, but something that we have to actively plan for and deal with and address from the national level down to the individual level.
Based on where both of you sit, you at the environment, Ms. Sampson, and Mr. Francis at APA, are we able to measure how drought has impacted on our economy, our community? Have we been able to do those kinds of things?
Okay, so what we would more measure, or in terms of the effects, obviously, conditions, the rainfall situation in terms of the amount of rainfall. What we also have, we have a well monitoring program where we measure the what's going on in aquifer. In mentioning, so that handles the groundwater. So interestingly, if we're extracting groundwater and the levels in the aquifer go beyond a certain level, we'll start having salt water intrusion, where that can actually damage the aquifer. So we'll actually start pulling in salt water, right? And in a long term, so in a long term, that could basically damage the aquifer, and you would maybe have to rest that well, if not abandon the well. So these are things that you have to constantly monitor. That's from my perspective in terms of the water part of it. And obviously the obvious effects that you see, the water
rationing,
and then other stuff.
Ms. Sampson?
If you can measure, I think it can. I'm not sure if we have coordinated, because you might have information in various places, but a coordinated effort to do study on the impact of drought across sectors down to the individual level. I can speak from the point of view of adaptation, and we have a lot of adaptation projects, as I said. So if you're looking at drought, one of the things we would then start to look at is what do people need to adapt? Because adapt meaning that you change your climate is changing, how can you survive? And we're looking at water harvesting, looking at low flush toilets, looking at conservation efforts, and what are the things that we do deliberately or things that we install to reduce the use of water, so we use less of what we collect and increase our collecting capacity.
Water reuse.
And then to do water recycling and water reuse. We had this project, the IWECA project, that was looking at call it new water, effluent from the source plant, treated water of the highest quality that will then go back into agriculture. Not a drop is wasted. That is where we need to go. We need to have open our cultural mindsets to accept that these are the things that we now need to look at. When I see rain now, I'm so happy to be working with the Department of Environment. Every time I see rain falling and I see it on the ground, my first thought, how can I harvest this water? What can we do with this water? Do we have need for this water? Instead of having the water run to waste, can we dam it? Can we treat it? Can we use it to flush our drainage system instead of using a pure high-cost water? Desalinated water. To do that, we have such great capacity with our sewer plants and treated water to reuse it for many things. But I think some of it is breaking that cultural hindrance, and also for us to just start having the dialogue and to be committed to it, because it is possible. If we look around, we don't have to reinvent wheel anymore. Just Google and look. It is happening somewhere. Why not here, Antigua? And what's preventing us?
I was going to ask that question. What prevents us from implementing some of these things? Is it cost? Is it cost? Huh?
Not necessarily, in my view. And I think we really do need to have.
I was in Christian Valley. I was in Christian Valley on Monday morning. I always go Christian Valley. Many years ago, I saw the Great Waterfall. Many years ago. And I never saw it since. I've been there a couple of times. So it was, we know it's up and all, like everybody's all excited. Now I went Monday. And as I was walking towards it, because you could hear.
Where is it called?
The Christian Valley.
Christian Valley, right.
Yeah.
The waterfall, yeah.
You could hear the power of the water. The moment I parked, you could hear it. I had to battle against the water to get across the first area to go. I can't call them stream and river. They want people to get us in problems. The next thing people say, Antigua have stream and river. Yeah. Yes, we do when rain comes. And I kept wondering, is there scope that we prepare, because we know it doesn't happen often, or is it that it's cost too much to prepare so that when we get those kind of deluge that we can then, as you say, dam them or find ways to store them? I don't know. And then I wondered to myself, which is I'm going to ask both of you, is it that the cost to do some of these things, these adaptation sustainable things, is it that the cost outweigh the benefits because of our weather pattern?
You're talking about storage and damming and you know, when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is how we have developed over time our anthropogenic use, our land use patterns, and our
she translated it into English. Right.
Poor development that would have prevented us from doing it. We have Wallings. And when I the first time I went up to Wallings and I look at the poster and I saw that massive dam. And the water used to overflow the dam and have so much water. The dam is empty. Why is it that the water is not going there?
So why is it still empty?
Why is it that the water is not going there?
That's the question.
Because of a lot of the land use things that we have done. We do not respect.
Up there? But up there is all bush.
You would think so. And pay attention to how we use the land, how we treat with our waterways, when we pond up the ponds, dump them up and build over them.
So who does that?
We block the waterway. Most of the ponds are privately owned.
Most of the ponds are on.
Those are one of the main issues we are having, and I'm begging and I'm saying, I'm pleading to Antigua and Barbuda, you are doing an injustice to Antigua and Barbuda when you go.
So we're our own worst enemy.
Ponds that you know are ponds that had a natural function. When you go beyond the setbacks for the waterway, when you dump up our ponds and block them, and then have the effect. You don't think of you stop the pond from affecting you, but you affect your community. Slow down.
So I buy a piece of land.
Right.
And it has a pond in it. I want my land. I'm looking at it from the perspective of the consumer.
Speaks to it, and I think APO has a law, and your law speaks to ponds and waterways, and you have rights over that.
Correct.
Having a pond on your property don't mean that you can dump it up as you wish. There are procedures and processes that are in place that speak to the.
Okay, but who knows that?
Well, if they don't know, they know now, and perhaps, and as we speak, I flag on, it used to be writing, because I'm flagging a lot of things. I'm very passionate about the fact that we need to be aware, we need to be educated, and we need to be aware. We see
So
things-
whose responsibility is it to ensure that, for example, persons buying private land know you don't dam this pond, because once you do that, it is going to have an impact on place X or Y. Let me tell you what I see happening, and I find this so interesting. Around where I live, there's a piece of land for sale, and every time it rains, I laugh. I'll tell you why. The rain always seems to come when somebody's coming to look at the land, because once there's no rain, it's overgrown with shrubs. And I just wonder, they don't notice that this little area there, the green in there is a little different to everywhere else. So what normally happens is the owner will fill that up and then try and sell it. Let's say Tesla comes today to look at it, and he's not aware of the difference in the bush. Well, hold on now. Guess what happened? Rain come and wash out everything. So this rain that has just fallen has washed out everything. And so, of course, nobody buy it. But the question becomes, whose responsibility is it to let me know that I can't block this up? And by the way, the government does this regularly now. So carry on. So who's responsible?
Yeah, we have a part to play. All streamways, all surface catchments, we APWay, along I think with teamed up with the environment department now in monitoring. So anything upstream, anything leading towards any one of our catchment areas, we would definitely be on top of that.
Yeah, but what would happen? You would just notice it's blocked up? Because I don't think you normally go to the source.
Yes, no, we would, information will reach us, and
Okay.
even if individuals are, for example, harvesting or removing gut sand from the stream, that has a procedure. We can't just go and just take the gut sand as how we please. All of this affects our process downstream too.
But
Right.
this opened up another can of worms, and I think we should just dash the whole can of worms on the table.
Go right ahead.
Part of the whole thing of rights to land and information on land and the whole land management system and how we register rights to properties and issues, we do not have a good system where if I am looking for land to buy, I should see some restrictions and something that speak to the issue of a pond on the lawn or a waterway that informs me as the buyer. You have the thing that buyer beware, remember that terminology. We can't beware when we don't have a good system that registered on your title something that would impact you as a buyer. Like
So
Constant
comes
Street.
my
when you
next
go now to the
usual
process,
question.
Then we go back into the subdivision process when an applicant submits an application for subdivision to the Development Controller Authority. They are required 100% to do an inspection because they have to say what is on land. And many times, it might not be reflected in the subdivision.
So who's responsible for that?
That's everybody. That's what.
No,
that's
you
why
see,
say can
I
of
hear
worms.
you say everybody,
No,
and I
the
understand the
Development
can of worm,
Controller
but
Authority has a
somebody,
responsibility to
Right.
do the inspections and to check and to ensure.
right, but
that
they
the
would
data-
do that on the basis that they get a list from somewhere or someone. And I mean,
sorry.
APWA knows it's waterways and the things that impact in it.
The Department
But
of Environment
if,
that shows waterways.
okay,
And we have surveyors who are going to do surveys, who have the information, who knows that this is a pond, who knows that this is a wetland.
so are there regulations that say if I dam this or I block this, that there are sanctions applicable to me?
We do have
Can
we
APWA
have
take me
the
to court?
EPMA, the Environmental Protection and Management Act. We have the
Lisa, I'm gonna ask you.
2003.
Excuse
I'm telling you what we
excuse
have.
me. I'm gonna ask
We
you
have
about
those-
the act. I want to know if there are sanctions inside. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I want to know if there are sanctions inside of the act that allows an environment division or an APWA to carry Petra Williams to court if she blocks the
I'm
waterway.
working on our regulations now, finalizing it, so we have to have my legal team speak on that. And I think that's another. Let's write down picture. We have a lot of we talk. So next we're gonna have our legal team because we need to continue this debate and this discussion.
This program is available. So
Looking at the specific issues that we really do need to iron out. They're very critical issues that we need to just stop. I was going to use a word, but I can't use a word on here. Stop playing around with and really be serious about it. The Department of Environment alone cannot do it.
but
we have
is the
done
So
much.
is the Department of Environment the lead agency? Is that my first stop?
Environmental matter. If you say the Department of Environment through the PMA of 2015 has this is mandated to ensure we administer and coordinate activities over the environment and management of our environment, which includes our waterways, our ponds, etc. Yes, Petra.
So, TESFA, yes, I know. We're going to wrap up in a few TESFA. TESFA, let me ask you this, since you are in signaling. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to We're the Ones. And we have been speaking to Joan Sampson of the Environment Division and TESFA Francis of APUN. We've been talking drought and adaptation. Well, we've been talking skier and skier. My question to both of you then is, what role do you want the citizens of Antigua and Barbuda to play in addressing the issues of drought? How can we do a better management, the whole process of adaptation? What is John and Jane Citizens' role?
Okay, so if I could start, the first thing I would push is conservation. Persons tend to waste when they have it.
What does that mean?
Save the water. Don't waste the water. Not because it's raining now, you can do anything, you have a leak in toilet, leave on the water, make it leak, make it run. And then when it gets critical, as in when the rain has stopped, when the water sources are being depleted, when we're using them up, and then you're starting to conserve, it's already late. You have to save when you have it.
Somebody's even asked to ask APUA, so if they will come quicker. We didn't just see it. If they will come quicker
to responding to leaks, and yes. We're actually restructuring. We are adding manpower to that.
A leak department.
Correct. So to that team, Peter,
24 hours.
You should know.
24 hours.
24 hours.
Thank you.
Correct. So you should know. so yes, listener, or viewing on Facebook. Yes, we're actually working towards that. We have heard the complaints. I would have witnessed it. We're all familiar with the complaints, and it's something that we have to work on.
Now, you say, Ms. Sampson, let me take your thoughts on that. What does Jane and John Citizen need to do to conserve?
TESFA really started very well in terms of what we can do individually to conserve. And I want to frame it, before I go into what we can do, frame it against the background of our national determined contribution under the Paris Agreement. And we had said that by 2030, all buildings are improved and prepared for extreme climate events, including drought, flooding, and hurricanes.
Well, if I get a concrete roof, there'll be less water catchment.
Not necessarily. So that is where we're heading to. We need to understand that we all have a part to play in that. So we would have increased our capacity. I've always bragged about Antigua when everybody's talking about doing water harvesting policy. I said, but that's a norm for us. Every house have a catchment under the house, and we have tanks.
Most houses
cannot. Well, I shouldn't say cannot, but they are not in a position to be able to purchase the requirements to have enough tank storage facility for a week or two. And so we are doing soft loans, 2% for persons, to be able to build their capacity to deal with droughts. We are saying to you,
what has been the take up on that?
I was going to come to that. We're saying to you, look up your infrastructure. Do you have those big old toilets that when you flush a gallon of water go down the toilet? Do you change out your shower heads? So you use the smallest amount of water, but you get the same effect. Do you practice what they call that thing when you sprinkler as opposed to drip system and pour, use your water? Do you use your kitchen water for gardening purposes? We are saying to you, you have to look and you train out, you have to speak from your kids. How do I use the limited resource that I now have? How do I capture it, store it, protect it, and use it and reuse it? Those are the terminology we want everybody to go away with in their minds. And that will decide how I operate and how my
Repeat those terminologies before we bid TESFA goodbye. You said
that come off
reuse
the head,
it.
these things you don't repeat twice. You just catch it.
Yeah, I know.
So we capture it.
All right, capture.
Which is storage. We use it. We maximize use of it, and we reuse it.
Okay.
So there's some water, you don't just flush everything down and you just throw everything outside. But you can use your water and reuse it, and you have to be smart about it.
Correct.
Don't use the government treated water. Take a wash down the car and all of the mud from
But we're going to get water from if we don't use the government treated water.
So we're smart. Innovation, we're talking about innovation now. How we can then use, let's think about
I will ask you that because I'm keeping you for a few extra minutes. But
So
that's
I might
for
have a drum set aside just for that. From my catchments. I might just get a little old drum, it's not water for drinking and stuff, as one, and that's my set aside, as my 2 tank that I use for doing other things and washing.
you know common
We
sense.
can.
You
If
know
we really
common
do try,
sense.
We can. If you cannot afford it, we do have the facility under the SURF Fund, Sustainable and Resource Framework Fund, where we give small loans. We're now in a process of, and we engaging now our banking institutions, our credit unions, and our development banks to partner with us to give it's concessional loans at 2% for those persons who are under the poverty line, who normally cannot walk to a bank and get a loan today, to afford to get these basic things and to build resilience. That's
Ms.
happening
Sampson,
now.
stick a pin, because I have 2 questions on those for
But we
you.
need to go back to Arbor Month, yeah?
But we are and we need to talk Arbor Month.
Thank you
But I need to. Tesfa told me clearly that he had a 5 o'clock date, so he's run away from us for a few minutes. And Tesfa gonna run you for 2 minutes because you have to answer those questions. But Tesfa, is there anything that you'd like to tell our listening audience as it relates to drought adaptation from APWA's perspective?
Yes, I would use an opportunity to continue to encourage persons to conserve, right? Not because we have it now, not because the potworks is catching in some water, that you can do anything with the so precious water that we are sending to distribution system, right? So that would be my exiting line, right? So conserve.
And APO is going to be more responsive and reactive.
Yes. We
So that we can
promise
cut
that.
down. What percentage of our drinking water they want to put to the public? Yeah. But we really do need to improve on that as well.
Definitely.
Can it hurt our hearts to know that we're paying for that and it's going to waste?
Definitely.
And we really don't have the capacity, so yes.
Okay, that's why on that note, I will say thank you very much for joining us. I hope to have you again another time where we can, I think we need to do a bit more education for our public. And so I am leaving the doors for We're the Ones open whenever APA wants to come back, that we can have some more detailed discussion just about APA and the whole issue of conservation, the continuous education. So
No
thank you very
problem.
much for...
And thanks for the invitation. Thank you to the listening public.
And I send me a message about now a leak. Carl APUE. Okay. All right, Joan. As Tesfa leaves us, and I have you for a few more minutes, just before we go to the Arbor Month, you mentioned that there are some facilities that persons who want to, for example, to increase their catchment, well, I shouldn't say to increase, to get catchment services due to, certain economic factors, that they can access those kind of funds. I'm assuming that this has been around for a while. What has been the uptake?
In order, we are getting our regulations. The regulation has been passed.
Come a little closer to the mic for me.
Partnering with our banking institution to roll it out.
So it hasn't yet.
So what we've done, we've had application intake on a pilot basis.
Okay.
And we felt that it was very important on this initiative to target our first responders. The persons who, when we have a situation, have to respond and protect us. So police, teachers, or nurse, or doctors, or army people, NAS, those persons. And we are piloting the communities of Lower Gambles, Yorks, McKennans, York's New Extension, etc. They have been I think they're annoyed because we have been out there with them for over a year, and they're looking now, having applied for it.
How do I get
the
access?
loan. Come to the Department of Environment. We have the application form.
So you're ready now to give the loans?
We are almost there. We have, yes, we are.
Okay, come back to me when you're ready.
No, we will be ready, man. Don't worry.
All right. And tell us
20
also
minutes.
about now Arbor Month, because...
Yes. So,
tell us about Arbor Month.
The Department of Environment, we are always very excited because this is one of our most anticipated events every year. Arbor Month, where we celebrate the joys of planting trees. You know, around the world, people do tree planting, tree hugging, tree climbing, all things related to trees. And November is a month for that. Our theme this year is riding the climate wave that we normally have, and it is one of our biggest, I can say, public awareness campaign this year, highlighting the work of the Department of Environment in general. That's why we're saying it's Arbor Month and Climate Fest, because the Climate Fest part of it is really saying to you, what are the things that we're doing, what are the projects we're involved in, how can you partner with us on our project. And when you come to the department through the 2 weeks, because we launched recently, you will get more information, you will see things on display by our partners and ourselves on the projects. And so Arbor Month is the time of year where we're most happy and we give out trees. I think this
I heard you want to plant some
2,000
trees for the month.
Plant a tree campaign, yeah.
And
So
I can get the tree in my yard?
You come for the tree?
No, I mean, would a tree in my yard count in the 2,000?
If you come and
Yes.
collect a tree from us, yes, I think it is.
Okay.
Plant a tree distribution of
Okay,
plants.
all right.
We are doing so for the month. Some of the activities, as I'd mentioned, let me see if I can remember what those activities are. We have our secondary school art competition under the theme Antigua and Barbuda's long-standing drought problem. The deadline for submission is November 16th. Registration forms should accompany the submission. So please, let's go. Our schools, our art competition. Let's push it. Let's see what you come up with. We have our agricultural science workshop. That's with only 2 schools, because the schools that we picked, we're so large. We're only having 2 schools. We have Glanville Secondary, and we have Antigua Grammar School. And it really is just a walkthrough, talking about aquaponics, talking about composting, and really just giving them an education about seminar on plant care. And for this year, we're having 2 schools participating in that.
Seems I need to
The
join one of
Drought
those
Talk
schools.
is going to be the big one.
Yes.
Which I
The
really
Drop
want
Talk
the
is on the
public, November
26th at
It's
EAG.
yeah.
What time?
I think normally our
That's the
Drop
only
Talk
thing
starts
I
in the
don't
morning. I say
have.
it's about 9. So I can let you have that.
8, 9 for the farmers. The farmers are going to come at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
I'll
They're
give
going
you
to
that
still be in their
information.
farm.
I
They're going to
have
still
to
be
give
in the
it-
ground.
It's not here right now, and I
Okay.
don't want to give you misinformation.
I hope it's
I'm
not
so
8, 9
sorry.
o'clock.
No, it's not 8, 9 o'clock.
About 3 years ago, I had a seminar for them and it cussed me off thoroughly because they're still in the ground at that time.
It could. We do have nods. We do have our Met Office personnel and coming to talk also. So, and it's open to the public. So I encourage the public to come, and not just to hear, but to share, because I do believe the public also has information and they do know what's required. So come and share with us. Then we have Arbor Day, Plant Fair, Climate Fest, where everybody comes out and bring your bag.
Bring your
collect
5
plants,
bags and get your plants.
5 bags and collect your plants.
Yes.
And we have the schools involved. I always love to see that. That's on the 29th at the Botanical Gardens. So I expect to see the whole of Antigua out in their numbers, with the children in particular, to come and enjoy our Arbor Day Fair and Climate Fest. And then we have Climate Fest to showcase all the works, as I said, of the Department of Environment, green vehicles, or wind turbines, all of that stuff that we are doing. So yes, we've launched, and our doors are open always, because we are using our conference room facility as a showcase, where we look at adaptation in buildings, adaptation in waterways. So the Botanical Gardens and the Department of Environment itself is a showcase of some of the interventions. So you can come and walk through, and we encourage persons to come and have seminars there. And
I've been in the building. I
and
haven't
use it.
even noticed that.
Come again.
I mean, I
Yeah,
just
you
assume
see
it
your
was a
conference room,
regular.
we are getting there. We
Okay.
really are
All right.
getting there.
Okay, that's great.
It's not something that will happen overnight, but we are serious about the charge.
So, if you were to tell our listening audience 2 reasons why they should participate in Arbor Day, what would you tell them?
Why not?
Okay, fair enough.
It's our environment. It's my responsibility, and that's very significant to me, because it's my life. But I cannot do it alone, and that's why it's our environment. And I cannot say, oh well, I can't be bothered because the next person is not going to bother me, because it's going to affect all of us. Why not? Look at what has happened. You'll know when it affects you, and you see the importance of it. It's about us taking our collective responsibilities, and you cannot if you don't know, so it's about bringing awareness. Say, come and learn. Find out what you can do if you're doing it, how you can do it better, and share with us if we're doing something and you think that we can improve it. Because I think innovation is always out there. We always welcome suggestions and innovations. Come and join your DOE, Department of Environment, the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and the Environment family. Come and be a part of Arbor Month. You will not regret it.
All right, great. And parting shot, drought and adaptation.
Drought and adaptation. Serious matter. That 26 discussion is very critical, so I expect everybody to be out in their full numbers. And I really thank you for allowing us to be here today.
All right, thank you very much, Joan. I look
Happy to be
forward
here.
to, I say me now, Joan. Joan, we're not in Jamaica now, or at State College. Thank you very much, Miss Sampson. Ladies and gentlemen, we just concluded our first discussion with Mr. Francis of APUA and Ms. Sampson of the Department of Environment, where we were speaking on the topic of drought and adaptation. Thank you. And as you heard from her, we are in Arbor Month, and we are encouraged to go out and participate in the various activities. She wants for us to highlight the drought talk, which will be on November 26th at the Department of Environment, and you are invited to join up. As you know, we are on We Are the Ones, and we will be changing over to our next guest shortly, and so you would hear an ad or two from us.
Battery engineering. We do a lot more than sell world top quality AC Delco battery. We have engine oil, transmission fluid, wiper blades, battery cables, terminals, lugs, hold down clamps, battery posts and case repair, and much more. We charge lead acid, gel cells, and AGM batteries the correct way. See us for quick alternator and starter repairs and parts. Make use of our always free alternator, starter, and battery testing. Battery Engineering Limited, Camacho Avenue, St. John's, Antigua. Telephone 461-1629. We're open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. We know batteries inside out.
What you want, battery powers what you need.
We are a chosen generation.
We all have a God-given purpose. We all have our own unique assignments. And as we prepare to usher in 2019, we need to be certain of God's direction for our lives. The All Saints Pentecostal Church Kingdom Life Center presents the 4th annual Journey to Shiloh under the theme Restored Glory for Your Divine Assignment. Join Apostle Cedric Forbes and guest speaker Apostle Stephen Andrews for 3 power-packed nights of seeking God's direction. On Wednesday, December 19th, find out what God's direction is for the church. Thursday, 20th December, find out what God's direction is for the family. Friday, 21st December, is the Covenant of Oil service. Find out what God's direction is for your individual life. All 3 power-packed nights are 7 p.m. nightly. The 4th annual Journey to Shiloh, Restored Glory for Your Divine Assignment. The All Saints Pentecostal Church Kingdom Life Center, Wednesday, December 19th to Friday, December 21st, 2018. Usher in 2019 with confidence to fulfill your divine assignment.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for... Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. We are on We Are the Ones this afternoon on Point FM, where we discuss issues that impact us in the community, issues that are significant to us in the community, and issues that can change the lives of members of the community. And along the lines of changing the lives of members of our community, we have with us in studio the Salvation Army, and we know it's November, so we know what time of year it is. But before we get into that, let me introduce our guests. With me this afternoon in studio, we have Major Greenwich, the divisional leader. Good afternoon, Ms. Greenwich.
Good afternoon.
We have Major Pear, the divisional secretary. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
And you've been here before?
Yes.
You've been here with me before?
No.
Oh, so then you've not been here before. I don't understand this. And I'm sorry. Yes, I'm picking on her. And we have, let me make sure I get her title in this capacity, Advisory Board Secretary, Valerie Gonzalez Birrero. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Welcome to We're the Ones. And when we have Salvation Army, we know that means that we're talking about community service and service to the community. And I see Valerie saying to ring the bell. Don't ring the bell yet. Don't ring the bell yet. We're coming to the bell just now. Just give our guests, our audience, for those who may not be familiar, an overview of Salvation Army and the work that Salvation Army does.
Okay, the Salvation Army, first of all, is part of the Evangelical Church. We say that we are part of the church with a social conscience. And so, apart from the spiritual aspect of our ministry, we do quite a bit of social outreach to persons in the community who are not as fortunate as some. So the Salvation Army reaches out to those who are in need.
Okay. And so, we know how long Salvation Army has been here in Antigua? Any immediate
We had
thoughts?
110, over 110 years.
It's like about 5 generations.
About 115 years here.
115.
Yes.
Okay, you've been here long. All right. So let us go to the matter at hand. No, you can ring the bell. Ladies and gentlemen.
Before we go there, I would
I'm
like
sorry.
to introduce Major Raymond Sill Pear, who is now the divisional secretary. He just recently joined the ranks here in July. So
When you say he
he's
joined the
new.
ranks, he just moved to Antigua?
He just moved to Antigua, yes.
Oh, you should have told me that before, man. I would have do the Antigua question. We will get to that. But
Yes, but I just wanted to bring that
so
out
what
there.
is his role? What is your role here in Antigua as the divisional secretary?
Well, as the divisional secretary, I'm responsible for all the finances.
Mm-hmm.
And also I cover disaster. I'm the disaster coordinator.
Mm.
And
You must have your hands full.
it is. And I also have a church. I pastor one church.
Oh, okay. And when you say divisional, is that the Antigua division, or is the division
Has other
comprised of a
countries,
number of countries?
yeah.
So what's
We have
our
St.
division?
Kitts, St. Kitts and St. Martin. included.
Antigua, St. Kitts, and St. Montserrat. There's no Salvation
We are
Army in
not there as
Montserrat?
yet.
You weren't there before? Oh, you're
I
not there
doubt
at
it
all.
very much.
Okay, Antigua, St. Kitts, and St.
St.
Martin.
Martin.
See? I read Antigua, St. Kitts, and Montserrat.
Just giving
You
it
know,
into being.
it's kind of, you
Yeah,
always
yeah.
know. Right, yes.
Mhm.
So, before you get to Valerie, you have been to the beach.
One, yes.
How long have you been here?
July.
So how you going to manage disaster if you don't go to look to see what the things look like before the disaster, sir?
Well, I passed through, and I am one who believe that if God wanted me to be a fish, then I would have been in the
Oh,
sea.
you're one of those. Okay.
So
No further questions.
will
Lady
look.
P, have a lot of chat.
I will look, but I don't go to swim.
I will introduce you to my mother, who I think shares that view. Don't understand you all. So yes, now tell us about. Valerie cut, after you rang the bell. So ring the bell again. Yes, so I can get my introductory remarks. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listening and viewing audience, and by the way, Majors, you are live on Facebook. You're live on social media, so we have some, right. But when we hear the bell, we know what time of year it is, do we?
Yes.
Yes.
By the way, is that bell used any other time of year?
No.
No.
Okay, good. So we know what time of year it is. And for those of us who may not know what time of year it is, will one of you tell us what time of year it is?
Okay, the launch of the Christmas kettle, and it's going to take place this Friday, the 16th, at 10 a.m. at Epicurean Supermarket. Here is where contributors, business places, private citizens can come, make their contribution in the kettle, and it launches the continuance of the kettles all around the different business places in Antigua, namely our prominent supermarkets, First Choice, Epicurean, Boughton, Friesel Road, and Jolly Harbour. We have Chase Distributors, Shawls on Newgate Street, Shawls Chief Store on St. Mary Street.
Yes, Mary Street.
Yes. Well, Bargain Center Supermarket. And one of the things we're looking for this year is for other volunteers to come and assist to man the kettle. We're targeting the service organizations of which you are a member, Petra. So
I knew she was going to say that.
We know that you guys will step up. And the target this year is 150,000 EC dollars.
What was the target last year?
150,000.
Did we make it?
No.
We didn't.
How far did we fall short? I want the public to hear how they did not step up to the plate. Anybody remembers?
We were about $31,000. 31,000
Short?
Yes.
Wow.
Mm.
And how did that impact on the Christmas package initiative?
We still proceeded with our target of 800 families, giving them the food hampers, and going to the institutions. We concentrate on Fines Institute, Clearview Hospital, Her Majesty Prison, Boys Training Center, and other privately owned homes for the elderly. How that affected us, how the fall short affected us, which I am sure resulted from the fact that we had the disaster in Barbuda and a lot of
other places.
Mm-hmm. But it affected the continuation of our program in the year, because when we kettle at Christmas time, it's not just to meet needs for December month, but also to continue our welfare program throughout the year that is ahead. So we were not able to do as much in the year after because we had fallen so far short of our target.
Do you do like a community assessment? I mean, I know this is work that Salvation Army does year on, but I have always been curious about the fact that, because we know, for example, at Christmas time, there's so many agencies that give, right? I'm just curious. Does the Salvation Army do an assessment to figure out, okay, we normally give this set of people from this community, but this year we know, or last year while we did give these sets, we realized that they also receive from here, there, plus there. Therefore, do we want to consider doing another set of people who may be as needy but were overlooked? Or is it that you leave it to whosoever comes to access the service?
Yes. The emphasis is not on a particular community. Persons will come to us and, yeah.
So there's no assessment to know that person X, Petra Williams, I'm using myself as the example. I would have gone to Lions, gotten whatever Lions have for Christmas. I would have gone to Rotary, gotten whatever Rotary had. Kiwanis, whatever Kiwanis. And then still come to Salvation Army and get what is available. You just ensure that you just have it available so that persons who are in need can come.
Yes. And I see where you're coming from, Petra, because that has been my concern, being in a service organization, because there's some people who will never get, because some persons got too many times. So, but
we leave that for another day. Yeah, that was just a question. We leave that for another day. So we know the target is $150,000, and we know that as usual you have the kettles out at the various places. And so we're going to encourage persons, start with your loose change, start with the fact that as part of your give back for the year, that you will also put in some additional funds besides your loose change into the kettles. What else are you looking for from us in the community in terms of getting funds into the kettle?
Well, we do have a mail appeal that we send to individuals, even though the list basically would need some more names to be added on. But that is our main appeal for our Christmas activities. And as an advisory board, the members are trying to put on other fundraising activities because, as we say, not all the activities that we have would bring the desired amount that we would want. So the members are working very hard in putting up some other activities.
Okay, before we even address the other activities, we're sticking with the kettle. So I know normally we would see the kettles are out, members of the Salvation Army are manning the kettles, and then from time to time you would have other members of the community who would also man the kettle.
That's right.
So let's say I'm having a football match, or there's a football match, Premier Division football game at the ARG. Could the Football Association ask for the kettle to be there, or something like that? Or are there activities that where the kettle is not necessarily cannot go? Are there activities like that? Community, because what I'm thinking of, as we discuss, perhaps if we were to broaden the pool of places where the kettle is available, we would get more spare change out of people's pockets. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm wondering along that line if there are places where the Salvation Army would not want the kettle to be.
We would welcome that. I think the only issue would have
Control.
been to find somebody to man the kettle, because volunteers it's a big problem for us. It's a big challenge. If it's a football match, there are certain activities that we are restricted because we are still a Christian.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right, that's why I asked you what.
The Salvation Army principle is that if it's something that would involve smoking and alcohol, then we try to refrain from that, because despite the fact that you want to help individual, you are soliciting funds from the public, you are still at church, you still have a message.
Hence why I asked about the restrictions.
But a football match, then that would be okay.
All right.
And in fact, we are looking at the opportunities that if we could get collaborations from like some clubs, we could organize a charity match for the Salvation Army during Christmas. It's a long time I haven't played football.
Valerie, ask your friend Bato. Valerie, ask your friend Bato.
Okay.
But
we have the
cricket,
same friends.
Those who do cricket, we are into cricket as well. So any sports at all, once we can.
I mean, we have the two cricket days, the ICC Women's Cricket Days coming up.
That's true.
Would also be pretty.
Once we get permission, we will be there.
Valerie, check your friends. Valerie, the advice. I'm just telling you, advisory board.
Yes, I hear.
So,
but I want to go back before Major spoke about the mail appeal. Presently, the post office is closed, so some persons who usually get their mail and they haven't received it yet is gonna come.
Hold on. You still using the archaic? What happened to email appeal? Get the people an email address and mail the thing out.
We discussed that in our meeting today. Yes,
you were really serious with the mail appeal story.
Yes, the mail appeal, because some persons still look for that letter to come to them. One member alluded to that today. Persons still look for the letter to come to them.
Might be the only letter they get for the year.
That's right. And like I'm saying, the post office has a problem right now. So if you didn't get your mail, it's coming. Or you can stop into the office on Long Street. Or call us at 462-0115 or 562-5473.
Get with the technology. Start to email the people. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes. So so those of you who normally contribute to Salvation Army through their mail appeal, the post office is having issues. So please don't wait for the mail to come to you. Go to them. That works for you?
Yeah.
It does.
Please to utilize the technology.
Yeah.
Start to email them.
Yeah.
I whispered so nobody else heard what I was saying.
We discussed that today.
And you mentioned just a few more minutes. You mentioned the fundraisers. That you have other fundraisers.
We're looking to do fundraisers. The advisory board. And the advisory board, it comprises of Chairman Mr. Hollis Francis Jr.
Money out my pocket.
We have Sean Nicholas.
Money out my pocket.
Irette Burton.
Money out my pocket.
Yusuf Michael.
Okay, I don't know him. Go ahead. Who's Yusuf Michael?
Sherry Brush. Joe Mikes.
Money out my pocket. Go ahead.
Joe Mikes. Sherry Brush.
Okay, I don't know that
Sherry
person.
Brush, right?
That person.
And myself.
Double
and
money
of
out
course,
my pocket.
the Salvation Army members are ex officio.
Who picked the advisory board? I'm curious because I just have an official complaint about that board. Y'all pick all these people are going to take money out of my pocket, my one pocket. What's up with that? Vary it. That people out of other people.
Obviously, these are people who know you've got a deep pocket.
No, it don't matter to them. Valerie, when Valerie selling tickets, Valerie doesn't call and say, Petra, you have money today, you have extra. No, she call and say, I have the ticket, bring the money. I don't even know what ticket you sell. Folks of Antigua and Barbuda, you can tell me if I'm wrong. When Valerie call you and say she have the ticket, do you even know what she's selling? Okay, let me behave myself. So, on a serious note now, what would you like to say to the listening and viewing public as it relates to the kettle appeal?
Make your contribution, don't care how small it is, and we want to thank those persons who have responded to us recently, who will be at the launch on Friday, and we invite Point FM to be there to record it so that the general public can see what takes place at the kettle launch. And if you really want to make a contribution, that you can do it on Friday or any day of the week where the kettles will be, as we named out the different supermarkets.
Just don't send Valerie or Hollis or Sean. Don't send none of them in my place. Okay, thank you very much. Let me say, I'm sure I can say this on behalf of my club. I'm sure we will be manning the kettle at least once for the season. And I will try and get my Shekel Cares at the State College to also man the kettle. I'm responsible for the young people, so I'm sure I can get them out.
Speak to Salvation Army office and say which day you're available.
K1 is Hollis, Sean. I mean, you just overlap everything that I do. Anyways, yeah. So, and Majors, anything you'd wish to say to our listening public as it relates to the work of Salvation Army and in particular the kettle appeal?
I would first of all want to say thanks to the public, Antigua public, who've supported us in the past. What the Salvation Army do, we could not without their help, and so we appreciate them coming on board and partnering with us in the past, and ask that they continue, for it is only as they give that we are able to reach out. So thanks guys for all that you do to assist us in our ministry. And this year again we're appealing, please come on board and assist us. We are hoping that we could increase our number from 800 to 1,000. We've been 800 for a while, and we realize that there are persons who don't get a chance to get a ticket because we've just focused on that figure for the past 3 years. So the more we get, is the more we're able to give. And out of every dollar that comes to the Salvation Army, 80 cents of that goes into meeting the needs of the less fortunate.
Okay, thank you. Major?
Well, need has no season.
Sure.
Is caring. Let's share the love. So
I like that. So everybody, in essence, give. The cattle season approaches. The official launch is when, Valerie?
This Friday at 10 a.m. at the Epicurean Supermarket.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Easy parking space. You have no problems. Park. Come and put your money
Friday
in the
at 10
kettle.
o'clock?
Yeah.
You sure? That is not to dissuade anybody. I'm just thinking of parking anywhere in Antigua now, but yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, the kettle season officially launches this Friday, 10 a.m. at the Epicurean Supermarket on Friday Hill Road. And those of you who would normally be a part of that official launch, please don't hesitate, pull out the money, go and give. And for the rest of us, when you see the kettle, give the little tinkle, and you hear the tinkle, you know it's Salvation Army time, and it's time to give back to those who are less fortunate. I can just add 30 seconds of something that's very important, because oftentimes people wonder, what can my little change do? It's the power of the collective. So your $2 may not be able to feed a single person, but your $2 put with my $2, put with Valerie's $2, put with the Major's $2, it all will come together, and the power of that is how Salvation Army will be able to serve the community, especially those who are less fortunate among us.
Yes.
So I think on that note, I will thank you for coming to share, and on behalf of those who receive, I will say our most hearty thank you to you, the Salvation Army for thinking to organize such an important initiative that in turn gives back to the broader community. So I say thank you on their behalf.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I
You're
wish you
welcome.
very best with reaching your target of $150,000 for this season. All right. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
All
thank
right.
you very
So,
much.
ladies and gentlemen, your mics are off. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We just spoke to the members of the Salvation Army Board. We had, thank you, Val and Majors, for coming. I can transition to my final guest. We have a full house today. Ladies and gentlemen, yes. We had the Majors. I'm looking for the names. I'm going to get myself into trouble. Oh, there we are. Yes, we had Major Greenwich, Major Pierre, who still trying to figure out our beaches, and our advisory board secretary, Ms. Gonzalez Barrero, discussing with us in regards to the launch of the annual kettle appeal. The target is $150,000. So do come out, go out when you see the kettle to share a tinkle. All right? And now, ladies and gentlemen, our last interview for the evening. This is also Early Childhood Month. Yes, I'm telling you, this month is a month of which mic? Okay. This is a month chock full of activities. And so November also represents Early Childhood Development Units, the Early Childhood Development Unit month. My apologies. It's Child Month 2018. And the theme is Early Moments Matter, Creating Meaningful Experiences. Yes, early moments matter. Early moments matter. Can get Taylor too. Hear me now. Yeah, I had to do that. Sorry. Early moments matter, creating meaningful experiences. And there is an entire calendar of events. Some of the events that have already gone are the official opening, of course, on the 2nd of November. They had their church service on the 6th of November. And there was
Karina James.
Oh, okay. So she just handed me something. We have with us Miss Karina James, the curriculum officer at the Early Childhood Development Unit. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for having me, Petra.
It is my pleasure to have you. Welcome to We're the Ones. Just by way of introduction, because it's your first time with us, We're the Ones basically is a radio program that seeks to address issues about us, the people. No matter how many leaders you have, without us, the people, there's no society, there's no community, there's no nation. And so what we seek to do on We're the Ones is to address issues that are relevant to us as a people, to our transformation and our growth. And I think you speak transformation and growth, you speak children.
And that is a good thing, to develop civic mindedness.
Yes. So tell us about your month of activities and give us a general overview.
Well, today was because we had these things already, we'll just start from today. Today was the preschoolers concert, and it was held at Multipurpose. Because of the
Shoot, I missed that. I wanted to come perform.
Oh my.
Stand up on my knee.
Well, you still have an opportunity to do that now, because you might be able to do it at the street classroom.
When is that?
That's on the 27th.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll
go ahead.
just go down.
Right.
So we had the concert today. Due to the rain, it was not as crowded as we normally have in the big part of Multipurpose. Packed. Teachers have to be standing around, and because of the rain,
Must be interesting to see.
Yes.
Okay.
See them doing the little poems that they do at school and the little skates, and so today.
What age group is this?
From 3 to 5.
What little poem?
Any poem.
What poem they can stand
You
up
don't
and
remember
sing?
no poem from your
No.
preschool days?
No.
I don't believe you. Those things don't come out easily, you know. They are embedded.
Yes, my teacher Joycelyn days. Okay, go ahead. Yes, so they had the concert today.
Right. And on Friday is our Wacky Tacky Day. And I think the name speaks for itself. Dress as you like. You know, sometimes...
You mean dress as the parents like?
No, the children.
At that age, the
teachers, everybody, godparents, everybody involved. You know, sometimes a child might get up this morning and they don't want to put on the uniform. They might want to put on the church clothes. And you would say, but no, that's not
true.
for today.
Right.
They might want to put on a pink and an orange socks, and you kind of coax them out of doing it. Well, on that day, Friday the 16th, they can afford to dress like that. Orange socks, maybe a socks on the head, you know, just wacky tacky.
Praise the Lord, my child is too big for that.
Some parents would like that, because at least they would say, okay, I can blow off anything they want to wear today. It is okay, you know, instead of how am I going to get this child to put on a uniform she doesn't want to put on? So that is a particular day where they can actually wear what they feel like wearing without the parents wanting to pull out the hair because they have to put on the uniform.
Okay.
On the 20th is our parenting workshop, and we don't have much training. We go university and colleges for everything else except to be parents, right?
Amen.
So on that day, the parents from the different preschools, so the preschools were called to say, okay, 6 parents come in, 10 parents come in, whatever. We all culminate at multipurpose from 9 a.m. and it goes until 2 thereafter, thereabout. Where the parents will have breakout sessions.
What's the aim of that parenting workshop, though?
To better equip a parent how to deal with the child.
Temper tantrum.
Just about anything.
I don't want to eat.
All that. Anything.
Help me to read better.
Anything.
Okay.
So any problem you might be having as a parent, that's the time where you can, because sometimes you go to the schools, because the schools are supposed to be having parent workshop too, but sometimes the parents don't attend, so sometimes that might be the only time you get them together. So you will hear the views of some of the things they might be struggling with at home. And as curriculum officers, as supervisors, teachers, we will be able, to better shed light on, okay, this, not that we would not say this is how you're doing it and it's wrong. You say it in a tactful manner, not to offend, but to bring the person into doing whatever in a different light, so that both parent and child will be able to do whatever the activity is that I might be giving trouble as the child, to deal with it in a calm manner.
Okay. Anything else?
So on the 22nd is Professional Development Day, and that starts from 8:30 to 3 o'clock thereabout. And this now is carded for the daycare workers, the preschool teachers, and the supervisors. So most of the schools will not have any school on that day.
So what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with my child on a weekday, Thursday, when I have to go to work?
But you would have gotten this, which is continual. This has been happening for years. And you would have gotten this info since September. So you would have made some kind of arrangement. Plus, it's a plus for you.
How?
Because maybe you didn't do like what I was doing to your child. So when I come, I get more info as to how to deal with your child.
Sound like Ali shutting down the country.
No, we're not. That's the foundation, you can't get
exactly.
away from it.
I know. I accept that.
Right.
I'm just like,
so then I have to know how to deal with these children.
I accept.
So
I accept. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying it's like a Thursday.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. Street clap. No. I'm forgetting the movie day. Sorry. The movie day is on the 23rd. It's a Friday. And it's at the Caribbean Cinema, right? And It starts at 10, but we're appealing to the schools to come out early so that we don't have the lines too long. So 10 o'clock, people are still lining up outside and the movie would have started already. So
y'all taking over the whole of Caribbean cinemas or just one movie?
Not the whole.
Hey, look, it's plenty. I saw the march. The march went already?
No, it rained out.
Wait,
it's on the
over?
30th, yes.
Okay, good. I saw your march last year, right? Please forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Pickenegger.
Just look at that.
There was just a lot of them. So
Yes.
I'm thinking you need at least 2
we don't know. We might
movie
just
houses.
I am sure
What movie we watching?
Caribbean The Grinch. I am sure that the Caribbean cinema people, if we have more than for one, they would assist us. They wouldn't leave us, because they can't disappoint the children like that.
Listen to this session. Giselle, we need 2 preschoolers because we're going movie day Saturday and they might let us in
It's
without
not Saturday, it's a Friday.
Okay, Giselle, never mind. We have to work.
It's a Friday.
All right,
it's
so
a
enjoy
Friday,
yourself.
It's a Friday.
Because I have a girlfriend, right? We used to take our sons to movies and we enjoy them thoroughly. And so I've been promised that we need to pick up 2 because we now have big boys that don't want to see us at movies anymore. We need to pick up 2 people, 2 small ones, adopt them for the movie.
I am sure, knowing you have a lot of godchildren. So.
Them big. You
don't have no little ones?
No, sir. Why are you doing with that?
Okay.
But I'm sure I will find one.
Okay.
Well, let me think about it. I don't think I have any, and I could be wrong. Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, and that is $20. So they get to pay for the movie and they get a drink with popcorn.
For the $20? Giselle, we're going movie Friday.
You can't miss that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The street classroom, it will be held between, just to the west of Post Office, the 39ers Square, and we will be setting it up as a classroom. So your child goes to a preschool. So what you would see in there will be like a replica on the street, and then we will have teachers teaching different lessons, maybe a science, maybe a math. So preschoolers are asked to come out.
Science?
Of course. When you throw hot water in a bottle and they see all the steam, that is science, Petra.
Yes, ma'am.
When you put water in the balloon and pop it.
That's fun. That's not science. That's fun.
But that's what it is.
Okay. So you let the parents understand these things at the parenting workshop so that they can understand that they also have a role in this process. Yes. Okay.
And one of the issues sometimes is that the parents don't want them to play in sand because sand
You've
gets
got
in their
to be kidding
hair.
me.
They don't want them to paint.
What, the
they
sand?
don't want
They have
them
weave?
in water.
The children getting weave that early?
No.
They have regular hair? They can wash?
They see that is a problem. But there's so many things that they learn from sand and water play. They learn measurement. They learn that, okay, this container may be broad and this may be tall. But when you pour it into the broad, from the broad one into the narrow one,
it's the same amount.
It might be the same, or you shockingly realize that the long one hold more, where you think that the wider one would have held more sand or water.
And the parents understand that is why they play in the sand?
Some I think they don't. I don't think they know the reality of, to them it's just the clothes getting messy and they don't know the foundation behind it, what they really will be learning in the long run.
A curious question. Sure. I'm going back to the parenting workshop because it has been my experience that the parents that you really, 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 really want to reach are the parents who don't come. But those parents may just watch TV. Are there any plans, to record some of these training experiences for the parents and probably drop them on TV or drop them on Facebook or drop them where the parents are going to be. So even if, you know, they might just glance at it, they might actually hold their interest for a bit and get the knowledge.
We through the years we have been doing that. ABS usually come. Now we have the Antigua Broadcasting Unit.
The Education Broadcasting Unit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They come, but to the actual publishing.
Well, yeah, that is another
I
story.
don't know.
Okay.
So it's not that we have not been doing it. We have been doing it. But additionally, we now have a camera for the office that can actually do videos and whatever.
Oh, nice.
So we have upgraded somewhat along that line. We also have a Facebook page. It was inactive for a little bit, but it's should be up and running in a little.
Okay. And the only reason why I asked that, like I said, is because oftentimes, well, most times we know who we want to meet and who we don't greet and who we don't get. So in terms of, I know we're looking at Child Month and the theme is early moments matter, creating meaningful experiences. Why that theme?
One of the reasons why this theme was chosen is because we really want to focus in on the early moments. As I alluded to before, that's the foundation. So it says early, means before the usual primary school, kindergarten, education setting. So you are preparing them to go there. So yes, a lot of parents seem to think that it's too much play, but play is children's work.
Play is awesome.
They are learning much more than you would imagine, and sometimes we just need to take a little time. Don't let them know you're observing them, and sit down and listen to their conversation. Even with playing with the trees,
with the dollies,
playing with books, playing just with their vehicle, and you know, they're just playing. But there's so much information coming out. Their vocabularies are being developed just through play.
I'll tell you a story. My son went to Spring Gardens Moravian daycare preschool, Miss Jarvis, and for whatever reason, he started counting the lampposts outside of Spring Gardens as a fun. So when I pick him up, before we went in the car, we used to have to go and count these lampposts. Boy used to know me, but I used to carry him. And that stayed with him through primary school. And the lampposts became imaginary friends. And then because of the lamppost, he then started doing this whole notion of electricity and blah, blah, blah. And he went into the sciences, full and whole. And I'm convinced that whatever Miss Jarvis and her team, Helen, told my child when he was playing, because he was playing with those imaginary whatever on those lampposts, is what contributed to him going into science today.
It could have been he was fascinated with the height of the lamppost at the beginning.
I used to have to go outside and count lampposts. Yeah. What a thing. Yeah. You know, but I mean, and the other thing I wanted to ask too, in terms of the early childhood development unit, what role does the unit play in the whole management and monitoring of these early childhood centers?
Well, we have 8 curriculum officers, and we are assigned to school, not zoned though, because then some persons would have been overworked, because if we zone them, you know, a lot are in St. John's.
8? Assigned 2? That's 16.
No, what I'm saying, we are assigned to school, not to school. To school. Okay, we are assigned to go into centers then.
I understand, but you're saying each of you only have 2?
No.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. We're not zoned, because if we're zoned, then some persons would have
be overburdened, right? Okay.
Because we have a lot in town.
Yes.
So some persons have 12, some have 15, some and
12.
Yeah.
15. So this is your full-time job to just go around and check out these schools? And what has been the general... No, wrong question. Are there general rules or guidelines that govern the operation of a center?
Yes, they are.
So if you go to a center and you realize they're not adhering to these guidelines, I'm assuming there's a process through which if they don't adhere, they can eventually be closed?
Yes. and no. Hence the reason we are working along with the Ministry of Health.
You jump too far ahead. Yes and no.
Yes, because we have guidelines, we have standards, and the standards are what you are supposed to adhere to. But like any other business, organization, whatever, we like to do what we seem best for us and not what you are supposed to be doing. So yes, there are rules and guidelines, but some people do not adhere to them.
And when they don't adhere, what happens?
If it's a health issue, health can go and close them down instantly like that. But early childhood, we do not have.
So you don't have the power to sanction the institutions. So if I am, God forbid, help me with this statement, if I were in a position to have a child at that age that needs early childhood education services, how do I know which institution I should avoid?
Shop around. Come to the office. Talk to
I
us.
can come to you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If you're going to open a center, Petra.
No, I don't.
No.
Them too little. Yes, but go ahead.
If you're going to open a center, there are things that you must do in order to open that center.
But can you stop me from opening the center?
But a lot of schools open and we don't even know we bunks into you, or sometimes we just pass in and we say, hey, that look like a preschool. But there are rules that you must.
They are not rules. They're clearly recommendations. Because if there were rules, I wouldn't be able to do anything unless I follow them.
You're just lawless.
No, I mean, okay. So if there are rules and you pass and you see this place open and it has children and they did not come in. Okay, back up. Do they have to apply to open?
That's what I was saying to you. So some of the things that you need to do. Firstly, you should come into the office and speak to Mrs. Davis, who is the licensing officer.
Stop. So I don't even know anything about Miss Davis and whatever she does in early childhood. I have an idea, I have a business plan, or I don't even have a business plan. I find a building, I find 2 people, and the 3 of us open up. And I have 30 children. And you pass and see me there. And you come in and you start to question me, and I don't answer you. In fact, guess what? You have a child here? No? Well, come off my property. What happens? Ladies and gentlemen, Valerie, she just shrug her shoulders. That is not good.
It's not, but that's what it is.
So what is the primary function of the early childhood development unit? And it's not to be mean, I'm just trying to understand.
The primary function of the early childhood development unit is to govern, because we fall under the Ministry of Education. So all the daycares and preschools supposed to fall under early childhood development.
But you can't sanction them.
We oversee the runnings of, supposed to. But if it has not been gazetted in, so you in your capacity, maybe you can speed it along.
You see, now I know I'm going to get into trouble.
Because we really need, Petra, we really need it. Because at the expense of parents, children, because if you teach me to make cake and you taught me wrong,
that's all the cake I'm going to make.
I'm not going to, that's what you said. That's how it is supposed to be done. And it's the same thing. So it is very difficult to unteach something that was taught wrongly.
All right, let us not dwell on that. We have 2 minutes
left.
What would you like to say to our audience as we celebrate Child Month? Oh, we have 2 more. Sorry, go ahead. My apologies.
The food fair is on the 29th. It starts at 11 o'clock.
I couldn't have food. May try for lose weight.
It's the only time.
May try for lose weight.
It's the only time.
Madam, not come. Go ahead.
It's
Carry
the
on.
only time that the school get to raise some funds.
Oh, it's a fundraiser.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
So the schools are asked to prepare whatever they want, no restrictions,
Okay.
and they sell. So it starts from 11 to 5 at Dredger's cricket grounds, and after that we climax this year with the match.
I think that's an awesome way to climax.
Well, the supervisors, that's how we normally end, but the supervisors asked last year that we put it up early to showcase. So we had it last year early, but this year it was rained out.
Okay. All right. Well, I like the program. I like how it sounds. I like the initiatives and so on.
So you're going just walk it up?
If I have to find a liquor person. If I find a liquor... Oh, Lord. Pint people, no bother. No. Let me pick my own child. No volunteer nobody for me. Yes. Maybe I'll dress walkie-talkie. I never know. I just love the match when the music playing and you see them little hands going in their little costumes. It is an awesome thing. But as we close out, what, in light of Child Month and your theme and everything, is there anything you'd like John and Jane Public to consider as we think about our young children?
We just want to encourage the general public. Wherever you can assist. You never know what you would be causing this particular child, because some parents cannot afford. So, or they might be training them in a way that might not be what they ought to be doing. Like, okay, for instance, speaking bad words to a child, and they come to school and they speak them to the children, to the teachers, because that's the environment they are in. So wherever we can assist, as it says, the early moments matter. That foundation that will be laid, they can't fall. If the building is not strong, it will crumble. Same thing, if the child is not properly exposed to the different educational, the standard, the things that they do, even though it's in a playful way, it makes a difference in their upbringing.
Okay. All right. So on that note, we have been speaking to Miss Karina James, the Curriculum Development Officer of the Early Childhood Development Unit, and we have been discussing the activities for Child Month 2018, which began on November the 2nd and ends on November 30th, 2018, under the theme Early Moments Matter, Creating Meaningful Experience. Miss James, sorry. Did I say the right name? Yes, Miss James, I want to thank you very much for joining us. You were the last, but certainly by no means the least.
Thank you for having me.
And guess what? What we discussed, we had the early childhood. So we have Child Month. We had you on. We're having Arbor Month. And our first discussion was about climate adaptation and the whole issues around Arbor Month activities. And in between that, we were looking again at another important initiative, which the Salvation Army discussing the kettle season. The kettle season is upon us at Christmas. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for listening. And I note all of the comments that we have. Thank you very much. Thank you, Monique. Bondolin Goodwin says to tell Miss Karina hi. All right, Bondolin, she's here. She's right here in New York. Yes, Bondolin, I delivered your message. And so on that note, ladies and gentlemen, both on radio and on social media, you were live on Facebook.
Why did you do that?
No, that's the program is always live, okay. Right? So I'd like to thank our listening audience and viewing audience for your continued support. And we go out with our theme song this evening. And we are over and out. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening.
Carnival does be hot and spicy when Calypso is there. Carnival does be bright and gay